I didn't really give a damn who it was. Wow, you were a dick to me too. I don't appreciate that. A minute later, I got to the square and sat on the bench with the firm intention of finding a quiet and safe place here to wait for dinner. I think this is the first time in the last 4.5 days that I felt like this. I wasn't just irritated because of some insignificant details, but indeed I was really angry. I've completely stopped caring about where I am or why I'm here. I don't care about how to get out either. What's driving me mad is that I always have to carry out some stupid task given by our camp leader, and it's always me who gets into stupid situations and sometimes even ends up looking like a clown. Oh my gosh, she's noticed. If all of this is some alien trick or a plot of the universal mind, they better consult with their psychiatrist. I gritted my teeth and clenched my fist. And the most annoying thing is that everything that happens seems to happen by itself somehow. I'd be happier not having to carry around bags of sugar that weighed a ton, but I had no choice at all. I mean, any other option would lead to much worse consequences than a muscle strain or hurt pride. Who are you angry with? Eliana was standing in front of me and smiled slyly. Nobody, really, I answered absently. But my fist gave me away. Just like that. Okay, it's up to you. You better tell me, why did you run around the camp the whole day with some kind of bags? I had to, I replied reluctantly. I guess it was food. Maybe it was. Eliana was about to say something, but at that moment the bell rang, calling the pioneers for dinner. I sighed in relief and quickly headed to the canteen, leaving Eliana behind. Simeon, thank you very much. For what? The camp leader gave me a friendly smile. For the cake, of course. Ah, sure. It was at that exact moment that I understood the true meaning of the saying, keep your thanks to feed your cat. You didn't tell anybody. This ought to be a surprise. Yeah, that's my boy. Now off you go to dinner. I looked at the contraption and waved her hand, pointing at the canteen. I stepped through the doorway slowly and started to look for a free place. It turned out there were plenty today, so I got the chance to eat it all alone. It was fish with mashed potatoes for dinner. But misfortune once again, I'll be left half hungry. And didn't we have fish for lunch? Is it a fish-only day today? Having pushed my plate with the fried sea dweller away, I laid my head on my hands and closed my eyes. But soon, somebody came up to the table. Hey, are you alright? I'm fine, I replied without changing my position. Just tired? Yeah, a little. That's bad. Alyssa said it seriously. Of course. Remember that we're going for the hike after the dinner, don't you? Have you prepared everything? What? Where? I opened my eyes and lifted my head up instantly. Lena was standing by Slavia. The hike. She was surprised. Didn't you know? No. I put my head down on the table and covered it with my hands. Only I could sink into the ground right away. The girls remained silent. I was left alone with my thoughts for some time, and that was fine by me. Maybe I could have sat that way until the end of dinner time. But the strong voice of Olga Dimitrievna was heard from the opposite end of the canteen. Guys, to celebrate the miraculous rescue of our friend and comrade Shriek, we baked this cake for you all. I lifted my head irely and looked towards the camp leader. We couldn't see anything beyond the pioneers' backs. Just a second. Nothing about me. Nothing about me rescuing Shriek or gathering the ingredients for the cake. As if that's how it ought to be. Well, it would be wrong to expect anything else from our camp leader. Let's go. Or we won't get our share. Slavia smiled. Let's go. Alana agreed. Yeah, sure. I got up reluctantly and tagged along behind the girls. As we approached the crowd of pioneers, Olga Dmitrievna was just putting the cake in the center of the table. And now? The camp leader wasn't able to finish as Oleana rushed out from the pioneer crowd and dived into the cake. She managed to nibble it a few times before she was pulled away. She was kicking and screaming. I stared blankly from the outside at all this drama. Alyssa smiling, Lena picking up some cream with her finger, all the furious pioneers around. I felt completely out of place here. I thought that if I closed my eyes now and opened them again... Okay. Here I am, back to the safety of my apartment in front of a computer. I blinked, but nothing changed. Only the noise and the confusion became sharper. Oh yeah, that's the limit.
I just... Well, in fact, behaving like this is a bit over the top, even for her. What's my volume? I gotta turn that down a little bit. Shriek broke into the conversation, or is it a court-martial? Sorry, I'm very hungry. Got crackers here. Hold on. Yep, I gotta spend a few minutes listening to me chew now. Okay, sorry. New mic. Please, Olga Dmitrievna, since the cake is celebrating my return, it's no big deal. He hesitated. It doesn't matter. The camp leader turned to Oleana. And you. Today I'm going to punish you to the fullest extent, so you'll behave next time. Ah, whatever. She snorted and turned back. You won't be going on the hike with us tonight. As if I wanted to. I was more than willing to switch places with Ileana and skip the hike instead of her. But who knew? If I had have guessed beforehand, I'd have been the first one to go berserk and smash the damn cake. After a couple of minutes of confusion, the pioneers started to disperse. You have to get ready, too. There'll be a lineup at the square in half an hour. I looked straight into the eyes of the camp leader, trying to express my attitude non-verbally, but it seems that I failed. Don't be late! Liana was sitting at the table and I approached her on my way to the exit. So, why'd you do it? She looked very upset. But she had a right to be so. I wanted to, Eliana replied abruptly. So you're happy now? Of course I am. And you? Good luck with the hiking. She smiled mischievously, sprang up, and rushed out of the canteen. Well, a little bit of luck wouldn't hurt. Ooh. I'm really sorry. I should have finished these crackers before I started recording. Okay. Walk and you shall reach. It was exactly this proverb that kept whirling in my head all the way down to the camp leader's cabin. Somehow I just couldn't manage to argue, to pretend that I'm sick, or just to skip it without reason. The events of this day taught me submissiveness. Although sometimes whatever was happening made no sense to me. As I walked in, I had a thought. Well, in fact, how should I get ready? Clothes? I have an overcoat and a pair of jeans. Anyway, I forgot to ask whether it's going to be an overnight hike or not. I couldn't think of anything better, so I grabbed the sweater that I had on me when I had arrived at camp, the night might be fairly chilly, and shuffled slowly off to the square. All the camp was already there, although it was about 10 minutes before the time Olga Dmitrievna had designated. I settled down near the edge and waited patiently. Night was falling. If viewed from the outside, what a fairly comical picture we would make. A crowd of pioneers lined up out of a sheer habit, like they were awaiting a silent command from the bronze Genda. Or Genda. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And all this happening in the scarlet rays of the sunset. And there he is, waving his hand and screaming attack as roaring soldiers with red neckerchiefs charge into the battle against some ghostly enemy. But Olga Dmitrievna showed up and started to talk instead of Genda. It seems everybody is here. Great! My accent keeps fluctuating some more. Yep, fuck me. I was so tired today that I couldn't even think about anything, so I ended up just listening to the camp leader. Now, today we'll go hiking. I can't remember. Okay. It is essential for every pioneer to be able to come and rescue his comrade, to offer a helping hand in the hour of need, saving them from a hopeless situation. So basically what I did yesterday. Da 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 da. We have to learn to do all these things together, because we can't rely on Semyon's useless ass all of the time. A whisper that ran through the pioneer crowd suggested that most probably this true epic expedition would end in a clearing in the forest, several hundred feet away from the square. Somehow, I thought so too. We'll walk in pairs, so if you haven't chosen a partner for yourself yet, now's the right time to do so. I'm sorry. Pioneers quickly caught on to the idea and started to match in pairs. It looked like I was the only one without a partner. Slavia was enthusiastically discussing something with Olga Dmitrievna. Lena was with Miku. Electronic was, of course, with Shurik, as always. Well, it might not be a bad idea to go alone after all. Semyon! The voice of the camp leader pulled me out of my thoughts. I went up to her reluctantly. I see that you haven't found a partner. Seems like it. Then you'll join Zahenna. She's alone too. Fantastic. I was struck with that special kind of despair that only a true loner can experience. So it appears that I'm left with the prickly librarian that I wouldn't risk spending a couple of hours with even if I was paid for it. Although we both seem to be in the same boat now. I slowly approached Zahenna. Well, I guess we'll be going together. She looked up at me. Don't you even think that I'm glad? Said Zahenna seriously. Why on earth should you feel glad? I asked naively. Never mind. It would be much better if you just shut up. It couldn't get any better than this. She turned her back on me and followed the other pioneers. I still haven't seen any special reason to walk in pairs. Anyway, we were walking on the well-trodden forest trails, and it had been quite difficult to get lost here even if I wanted to. Moreover, while we'd already been hiking for half an hour, we weren't rushing into the depths of the forest trying to face all the dangers that could test our courage and harden our pioneer spirits, but instead we were just walking around in circles. However, if we take into account that Olga Dmitrievna was our chief, this hike could be compared to a hobbit's march from the Shire to Mordor. I love you, Semyon. Okay, just as Zahenna insisted, I was following her at a distance in silence. The librarian seemed to be perfectly okay with it. Hey, don't you know when we'll reach our destination? Our what? The place where we'll settle down and set up camp. The whole point of this hike isn't to set up a camp, but the hiking itself. You don't get it. Yeah, it seemed that I didn't understand a thing about hiking. Far be it from me. Yeah, I guess you're right, but still. I don't know, she replied sharply and quickened her pace. Bye. I caught up with her and asked, Listen, why are you always so... I was about to say mean, but stopped short. I haven't done anything bad to you, and I'm not going to. She glared at me in surprise. Always so what? well, unsociable, kind of. Or, or is it something about me? Oh, cut that stupidity out already. As you wish. I decided not to start a conversation with her for the rest of the hike. At last, Olga Dimitrievna decided to end this Sisyphean toil. I cannot pronounce that word. My apologies. Very pretty place, though. It's time to halt! The place chosen turned out to be a quite large glade with a few tree trunks laid in half a circle to make an improvised arbor, with the remains of a campfire in the middle. Obviously, such hikes are a tradition of this camp. I want this cracker. Okay. I was sent to gather firewood together with the other boys. It didn't take long because there were a lot of branches and logs of various sizes lying around. Eventually, Olga Dimitrievna lit the fire using some old newspapers. I was eager to know what was written there, but couldn't discern anything other than Soviet symbols. Pioneers took their place on the fallen log benches and started to talk about things. It seems that the final goal of this event has been achieved. The only things missing were a pot of fish soup, aluminum cups of vodka, and a guitar. But I wouldn't be surprised if all of these things would appear somehow. What are you thinking about? Slavia sat next to me. No, nothing special. Vodka, guitars. Yeah, just enjoying the hike. I answered sarcastically. You don't look too happy. Well, I'm not about to jump for joy. Sorry about that. Okay, I won't disturb you. She sat with me for a while, but after realizing that I wasn't in the mood to talk, she left me to enjoy my introspection all alone. And all I wished for was to lie down in bed and fall asleep as soon as possible, but I was being surrounded by smoke and the useless chatter of pioneers around me instead. They were cheering and laughing and in general enjoying this warm summer evening. The far side of the glade, I noticed that Lena was arguing with Alyssa intensely, and Lena seemed like complete opposites to me. Slavia had left to go somewhere after our conversation, it seems. Like Tronik and Shurik were trying furiously to prove something to Olga Dimitrievna. Probably the fact that they're not gay. Looks like I'm the only one who doesn't belong here. Do nothing, just stay seated, try to figure out what Alyssa and Lena are arguing about. Excuse me, bitch?